Let's try to solve this question. This question is on odd sentence. It asks you to arrange 4 sentences such that they form a coherent paragraph, and the one that does not fit into the sequence becomes the right answer or the odd one out. So we have 5 sentences here. We should start with the one that is likely to open the paragraph. So statement 1 says that a particularly interesting example of inference occurs in many single panel comics. So you have the example of inference, and the author starts with option 1. Then he says it is the creator's participation and imagination that makes a single panel comic so engaging and so rewarding. So here you have the word inference, and here you have the word single panel comics. Again, single panel comics. Often the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before. So here you have the panel. To get the joke, you actually have to figure out what some of the missing panels must be. So the missing panels are here. It is as though the cartoonist devised a series of panels. So all these sentences have the word panel, single panel, the panel. So it's difficult for us to make out the odd sentence right at one go. But it says here, now the point is that if you look at the word cartoonist, look at the word funniest, look at the word humor, and you find that all these are connected, humor, joke, cartoonist. So what stands out is option 1 and 2. One says a particularly interesting example of inference, but the single panel comics is introduced in option 1, and everything talks about single panel comics, right? So everywhere you have the word comic, single panel, so it becomes difficult. But if at all we want to open the paragraph, we have only 2 choices. It is either statement 1 or statement 2. Now the point is, let's look at 5. It is as though the cartoonist. No. To get the joke, you actually have to figure out. No. Often the humor requires you. So we are left with 1 or 2. So either you start with 1 or you start with 2. It says a particularly interesting example of inference occurs in many single panel comics. Now you might wonder what has inference to do with single panel comics, and what has inference to do with the rest of the sentences. Now if you look at a reading comprehension perspective, then we all say that in inference you have to arrive at the unknown on the basis of the known. So inferences are not given to you, they're not visible. You have to basically arrive at them. So if you look at the word inference and look at what is happening in 3, you can connect inference with statement 3. So 1 and 3 can be connected. Option 1, statement 1 says a particularly interesting example of inference occurs in many single panel comics. Often the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before or immediately after the panel you have being shown. So single panel comics, you have single panel comics, you can see the single panel comic, and the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before. So this imagination of what happened in the instant immediately before or immediately after is what inference is all about. So inference clicks here, and therefore we can say that yes, this is definitely what inference can be connected with. You have to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before, because that is not shown to you, and you arrive at that on the basis of inference, because you are being shown something, and on the basis of what you are being shown, you try to guess what is not visible either before or after. So 5th says to get the joke, 4th says to get the joke you actually have to figure out. So infer means to figure out what some of these missing panels might be. It is as though the cartoonist devised a series of panels to tell you the story and has chosen to show you only one again. So something is not visible, you have to figure out, you have to imagine, and you have to use inference. So can we say that option 2 is not fitting in the sequence here? If at all you ask me, sir, what would be the parajumble here? You can say, of course, one will open the paragraph, and then you can go in any way. You can go with 3 and then 4 and then 5. But what is happening is 2 is not fitting in here. It says it is the creator's participation and imagination that makes the single panel comic so engaging and so rewarding. It is not the creator's participation, it is the participation of the audience, and the participation and imagination of the audience, not of the creator. The creator is creating it, but if you look at 1 statement, 3, 4 and 5, who is inferring it? It is not the creator, it is the viewer who is inferring it. So statement 2 becomes the odd one out primarily because it is not the creator's participation that is making it so rewarding and so engaging. It is the viewer's participation and imagination. So if there is any choice that's likely to be the odd one out, it has to be statement 2, because you will start with 1 and then 3, 4, 5, they all speak the same thing. The humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant before after. To get the joke, you have to figure out. It is as though the cartoonist devised a series of panels to tell the story and has chosen to show you only one, and typically not even the funniest. So in all the cases, you are figuring out. You're shown something and you are imagining what must have come before or after. So 1, 3, 4, I'm not pointing the sequence 1, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 4, 3, 5, whatever it might be. 2 definitely is the odd one out, and therefore 2 is the right answer.